What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From The Bench Vols. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and welcome to our Friday edition of the show, where we have a lot of football to talk about. Once again, our last few shows have been part of our position group spotlight series, but today we're going to switch gears over to the recruiting world. The Vols have picked up 4 new commits in the last week for this 2026 class, and there's a lot of guys down the line that they're going to have to win some key recruiting battles if they want that top 10 national class for recruiting, and maybe even Josh Heupel's first top 5 class for national recruiting. If that's still a possibility, they're going to have to come up big in some of these recruiting battles. We're going to update you guys, kind of get you up to speed with these new faces and new names. But before we get into any of that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, share it to whoever, do whatever you'd like with it. I would greatly appreciate it. And I know I give you that whole little spiel. It's part of my routine for every show, but I'm going to ask you guys a favor. The last 2 weeks of this show has been by far the best 2 weeks of this channel since I started it, not a little less, like 8 months ago, and I greatly appreciate you guys. If you would have told me a month ago that at the start of this month that I have thousands of you guys viewing this show, I would not even believe you. I'm so, from the bottom of my heart, grateful for that. But I'm going to ask you guys a favor for these new guys that are here. YouTube has this really cool thing where it's called YouTube Studio, where it basically shows you the analytics of your channel, and we've had thousands and thousands of people watching this show over the last few weeks, and I'm so very thankful for that, but only 91% of you guys watching the show are not subscribed, so I'm from the bottom of my heart asking you guys to subscribe, hit that big red button. I would greatly appreciate it. Us here at From The Bench Vols would greatly appreciate it. So now let's get into our football side of things. No one's here for the subscriber count. You guys are here to talk about Tennessee football, so that's what I'm going to talk about for you guys. But before we get into these recruits, this kind of has a little bit of recruiting into it, but I want to give some flowers out because we love to do that. We love to clap it up. If you guys are new to this show, we love to clap it up. That's kind of our version of giving flowers on this show. But William Inge, the linebackers coach for this Tennessee football team, has done an incredible job as a coach, but as a recruiter, man. He added Braden Rouse this week, giving him 2 of the top 6 linebackers in the country. You know, that's almost unheard of. It's an incredible job by him, and it has a lot to do with a lot of the staff, but him pulling in those 2 linebackers, especially this Braden Rouse recruitment, which we'll talk a lot about later on in this show, was really up in the air, and for him to come down with that recruitment was huge. A heck of a coach. There's going to be a very good linebacking corps in Knoxville this year, led by Arion Carter and Jeremiah Thielander. So I just wanted to give him his flowers and clap it up for William Inge. Just an incredible coach. Just wanted to put that out there, some respect for William Inge. So we'll start with these like we did on our last recruiting update. We're going to go from earliest to latest, these last 4 recruits that the Vols have picked up in this 2026 class in the past week. So we'll start with Darrell Rivers, the defensive tackle from, Powder Springs, Georgia. It's right out of Atlanta, goes to McEachern, is a freak of nature, man. 6'5", 270, a 3-star recruit, and I don't want to hear anybody in the comments talking about 3-star you as kind of dumb as it sounds. Not even dumb, man, but not to kiss anybody's rear end here, but I'm definitely going to trust what Josh Heupel and his staff sees over what we see in the stars or whatever 24/7 sees or anything like that. I'm taking a 6'5", 270-pound freak of nature to go play that defensive tackle position, especially at Tennessee, man, where it's so heavily rotational based, especially at the defensive line position. I think he's going to be a great piece to this defensive line. So Rodney Garner gets his guy. Like I said, it's just a freak of nature. Go look up Darrell Rivers highlights. It's Darryl Rivers. I'm serious. I want you guys to go watch that. Just a freak of nature. He knew that he wanted to come to Tennessee. Kind of knew that that's where he wanted to commit, but he hadn't even seen the campus. So he goes on his visit, enjoys it. His family loves it. He loved it. He knew that this was home. So he commits to Tennessee. So a big commitment for the Vols, and again, I know that there's going to be some 3-star U's, some, what I think he's like top 800 in the country, whatever that may be, man. If Josh Heupel likes it, I like it. A freak of nature at 6'5", 270, so Darrell Rivers, a big pickup for the Vols. And then we had Javonte Smith, an in-state guy. 3 of these 4 guys are from Georgia. 2 of them went to the same daggum high school. But this right here, Javonte Smith, is an in-state guy from Jackson, Tennessee, 6'5", 175, a 3-star. I know. Again, I'm not going to listen to it. Picked the Vols over Missouri, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, some really good SEC schools. So obviously this guy's an SEC football player. No matter how many stars are beside his name, the right teams are wanting this guy. That's really what you guys need to be paying attention more to is who do they have offers from. That's the real thing that you guys need to pay attention to, because there's another 3-star on this list who had Georgia in his final 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever that may be. Legend Bay a couple weeks ago, is a 3-star on a lot of websites, but Legend Bay's final 3 was Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. Quit star watching is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say that with every recruit here, man, but quit star watching. Javonte Smith is a heck of an athlete. Will probably play defensive back here at Tennessee. Had 11 touchdowns receiving in high school last year, so just a really good athlete. Came on his visit, was kind of out of the blue. On 3 kind of thought that he was leaning Missouri and ended up choosing the Vols, so another guy that it's just a great athlete. We just talked about Legend Bay, a heck of an athlete. Tyreek King is a stud athlete. Even Savion Hiter, just an incredible athlete at that position. And the Vols are getting their guys. They're really on fire. Right? Whether it's a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, no matter what it is, the Vols are consistently getting their guys. They're not really missing out on guys, not really ending in the top 3 of these guys right now. If they're in contention, they seem to be getting everybody that they want right now, and that's what you love to see from Josh Heupel and his staff. And this third guy, and we're going to talk a little bit more about him. We just talked about him, Braden Rouse from Marietta, Georgia, at Kell High School, is a 68th ranked player in the country. He's 6'3", 220, so really looks the part, man. Is the 4th ranked linebacker in the country, and this really felt like the old school commitment and the old school recruiting race. Nobody knew, man. In the world of crystal balls and expert predictions, where it seems like they know 2 weeks before they even think about committing, no one really knew with Braden Rouse. There was a lot of smoke in the air about Texas. It really ultimately came down to Tennessee and Texas, and he ended up picking Tennessee. He had a live stream, or a live commitment, I guess you'd say. That's something that you don't really see as much anymore. I loved it, man. It brought back just what it felt like to not know. It was really fun to watch. A lot of people were live streaming it, so like I said, it was a fun commitment to kind of be a part of, and Tennessee kind of came out of nowhere, and that's where I just gave flowers to William Inge. Incredible that he came up with that recruitment. He was on campus the week of Savion Hiter, so that was the week after Savion and Tristen Keys and all those guys. So he was here with Hezekiah Harris and Savion Hiter, so came on campus, obviously enjoyed it, obviously enjoyed William Inge, Josh Heupel with his campus, and he ends up committing to Tennessee, a huge get for Tennessee and this defense, and that defense is starting to look really good in this recruiting class. And then another much-needed safety that they got, also from Marietta, Georgia, Kell High School. It's Braden Rouse's teammate, Joel Wyatt. It's a 3 or 4-star wherever you're looking, 6'1", 192, like I said, from Marietta, Georgia. And who I just said, his final 4 was Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, and Wisconsin. So kind of take out Wisconsin there. You've got Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. I don't care if you're a daggum 1-star. If that's your final 3, man, that's what you need to be paying attention to. That guy's a stud, a heck of an athlete, and I'm very excited to see him in the orange and white. So you got really 4 defenders here. There's a lot of offensive guys last year in that Legend Bay group. Darion Albert, I think, was the only defender that we got, because it was an offensive tackle, Legend Bay. I'm not going to get into that. We're here to talk about these guys, but 4 defenders, because Javonte Smith, yes, he's an athlete, but he's going to play defensive back here at Tennessee, I'd assume. So that defense is really starting to fill out. There's a lot of guys that they're in position for. Joel Wyatt, who we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show, another in-state guy, the 4th-ranked athlete in the country, could definitely play some defense here. I think that's what he'll play. So it'll be interesting to see, man. That defense is really getting filled out for this 2026 class. But we just talked about how we got 4 defenders. But today, on this Friday afternoon, J.B. Shabazz will be announcing his commitment. It's between South Carolina, Ohio State, and Tennessee. A top 300 player in the country, a consensus 4-star offensive tackle. And there's a guy that he's another one that's kind of quiet. We don't really know. There's been some crystal balls. There's been a crystal ball on 24/7 for him to go to South Carolina, but then on 3 has him as a 92% chance to end up in the orange and white. So should be a fun one. It's going to come down to the wire again. So I'm sure obviously JB Shabazz knows, but there's a lot of smoke being blown in the air, and no one really knows. It's a big smoke screen. It's going to be another fun one. 6'6", 280. Again, like I said, a very quiet guy, but seemed to like his visit when he was at Tennessee. So we'll see. We'll talk about his commitment once he commits. But I think I'm going to take the optimistic route. I think that he will end up in orange and white. Would be a huge get for that offensive line, because that's another place that Tennessee has recruited pretty well at lately. Obviously, Gabriel Ascenda, was a 3-star when he committed. Now he's a top 20 player in the country and a 5-star on 24/7, so or 247, whatever you want to call that. That offensive line is also kind of getting shaped up. There's some Darius Grays in the world that Tennessee's kind of in the running for. It seems like LSU's kind of controlling that one, who's an interior offensive lineman, 5-star as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that offensive line also kind of fills out, just like that defense we were just talking about, how that offensive line fills out in this recruiting path, because obviously, you want to go get your depth at the offensive line position, but you've got quite a few guys. Like David Sanders is going to be a 3-year starter for the Vols. So, it's kind of hard to go get another offensive tackle when you already have a 5-star at that position too. Can never have too many good recruits, you know what I'm saying? But it can kind of just shy some guys away, because in the world of NIL and all the things, like a lot of guys are just being able to come in and play year one, regardless of the situation and the system and all the things. Like these freshmen are starting to more and more find themselves in a key role as a freshman, which in college football, man, that hasn't been, we talked about that on the last episode, it hasn't been normal, and it's starting to become a little bit normalized. So we'll see how that all works out. But there's just some guys right here that Tennessee's going to have to cash in on it and come up big in these recruiting races. If Josh Heupel wants his top 5 class, if he wants really the top 10, I think they're 13 right now last time I checked. We talked about Savion Hiter, man. We talked about Tristen Keys. Both of these guys. Tristen Keys is an LSU commit. If you guys aren't aware, both of these guys. Tristen Keys is the number 1 receiver in the country. Savion Hiter is the number 1 running back. Savion Hiter seems to be between Michigan and Tennessee. And then Tristen Keys, like I said, an LSU commit, but has shown a lot of love for the Vols. And he's a guy where he's made it very known that he wants to play with a good quarterback in his class. LSU does not have that. And there's not really any stud quarterbacks left on the market of that 2026 class. Ryder Lyons just committed to BYU. He was the last 5-star on the board, to my knowledge. Bo Brantley, a guy that LSU was in the running for, ends up committing to Oklahoma. So, a lot of the names are off the board unless there's another flip to LSU, and they're killing it on the recruiting trail. Don't get me wrong. They just picked up the number 1 athlete in the country in Lamar Brown this year. Yesterday. So now they have the number 1 athlete, the number 1 receiver, and the number 1 defensive tackle all in one class. So they're killing it over there. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that Tristen Keys situation. In my opinion, I think that's going to come down to National Signing Day, the early National Signing Day in December, for him to make his decision. And I think the same with Savion Hiter. Right now, it's a Michigan and Tennessee race. Ohio State and Georgia was also in that. So money talks and things change a lot in recruiting. So can't knock those out, especially if we're waiting until December for that commitment. But as of now, it's a Tennessee versus Michigan race. We've got Joel Wyatt, who we just talked about, a in-state recruit, is the 4th-ranked athlete in the country, a top 60 recruit in the country. It's looking like Tennessee is the place for him right now, but he's another one that's been kind of quiet. We'll see where that recruiting goes in the future. It's a lot in the air right now, and I think Tennessee is going to have a chance for a top 10 recruiting class, but it's going to be tough. If you would have asked me a week and a half ago, I would have thought that it's a lock for a top 10 class. And I guess that not much has changed in a week besides, you're getting your guys. But I don't know. It's just going to come down to it, man. I'm glad we got Braden Rouse, but it's like it makes me realize that this stuff really changes in an instant. I kind of thought Braden Rouse was going to be a Texas guy, and it can change for you in the better like it did with him, but it can also change for you in the worse. Just like I said with Savion Hiter, yes, it's a Tennessee and Michigan race right now, but somebody could come out of nowhere and kind of just steal it out of nowhere. It's like we're really pushing for Tristen Keys and a Hezekiah Harris, who is an Auburn commit. Tristen Keys, the LSU we just talked about. Carson Snead is getting recruited by Florida and a lot of other places. We're going for other teams' guys, and they're coming for ours. So, in this world of NIL, it's really hard to say, you yeah, I think will be a top 10 class because you never know who's staying, who's going, or who's coming. So it's going to be interesting, man. Josh Heupel and his staff has done a very good job. Like I said, it seems like everybody that they're in the race for as of late has been committing to Tennessee, which is great. Whether you like their ranking nationally or not, these guys like them, and Josh Heupel and his staff are getting them. So that's all good signs there. But recruiting is just in such a weird place right now, man. Deion Sanders was making his comments about wanting a salary cap on NIL, like he didn't have the two wealthiest players in college football last year with Travis Hunter and his son. It's funny, now that he has the 100th ranked recruiting class in the country over there at Colorado, which ranks last in Power 5 football, that now he wants a cap. But it's just so weird because teams like Colorado are doing horrible, and then Auburn, man, who killed it last year recruiting, is at like 87th in the country. Like teams like Miami, Ohio, and like Toledo and Buffalo and North Texas are above Auburn in recruiting right now, and I don't think it's going to stay that way. That's my point I'm being made. There's no way in the world that they just stay that low. You know, it's Auburn, man. They're in a great spot, great NIL. Hugh Freeze is a good coach. There's no way that's going to stay, so that's what I mean by it. It really just changes so quickly, and things can happen in an instant in this recruiting world. So it'll be interesting to see. These guys are the new faces: Darrell Rivers, Javonte Smith, Braden Rouse, Joel Combe, and hopefully by the time you're watching this or the day that you're watching this, JB Shabazz will be in that orange and white over South Carolina and Ohio State. But I think that's going to all but wrap it up for today's show. I appreciate you guys for joining us over here on From the Bench Vols. Just kind of wanted to get you guys up to speed with what was going on in this recruiting world. We're going to be back on our position group spotlight series on Wednesday. Yeah, we're going to start with linebackers. You know, keep it going with this William Inge appreciation, and we'll start with linebackers there on Wednesday. So make sure you guys are tuned in for that one. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to this video, and again, make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys on Wednesday. I don't know why I keep having a brain fart about that. I will see you guys on Wednesday, and go Vols.